start with anything, or you just want to go ahead and
No,
open for
you
questions?
guys can fire away with some questions if you like.
All right. I know Fred has one. Fred, you want to start us?
Hey, Jeff, congratulations on being number one. Can you talk about the fun of being number one in January versus the reality, and also projecting that to March and maybe April?
Well, I've talked to our players about it. I think being number one in January, it has a lot to do with what we've been able to do here for the past 14 years. We have been able to sustain a pretty high level of success. We graduated 3 starters from a team that finished 28-4, and obviously the NCAA tournament was canceled last year. And we still come into the year preseason top 5, top 6. If we haven't had that success the past several years, year in and year out, I'm not sure if we start the year 5th or 6th. You graduate 3 starters, normally you're dropping down to 15 or 16. And if we start at that, well, I don't care if we're 12-0, we're not going to be number one right now. So it's a credit to what these young women have done this year, obviously, especially with with everything that's gone on, the focus that they've been able to maintain. But I think it is also a credit to all of our past players and what we've been able to establish here. So it's a great honor. There's no question about that. I think I read where there's only been 7 teams ranked number one in the past 10 years. Which it's, what I laugh about is there are people out there that thinks it's easy to win. Oh, it's women's basketball. It's easy to win. It's easy to be that. No, it's not. If you look at it, I'm sure there's probably been more men's teams who've been ranked number one over the past 10 years than women's teams. So to get into that class and in that group, it takes a lot of work and a lot of players who are willing to do something different, because that's really, to me, what you talk about is players that are willing to have the same vision that you have, and let's see if we can put Louisville on the map. And it's been a great run for us, and now that we're there at the top, it's our job to stay there. But in January, it's fun. Come March and April, well, then that's a whole different ball game. And we've been close, but just haven't quite been able to get there to finish the year at 1. But we're going to continue to fight until hopefully that day comes.
Hey, Jeff, Cameron with the Courier Journal. You got a group that is very, very focused on kind of getting better every day. How have you seen them respond this week to number one? Do you feel like they're more motivated with a good Syracuse team coming in, or is it about the same for this group?
Yeah, no, we're excited. We had a really good day of practice yesterday. Exactly what I just told you guys there, I told them about. It's a lot to do about the success this program's had. Just because there are other undefeated teams, I believe, still out there. And, it's because we started the year at 5 that we're now 1. So there's a lot that goes into that, but they are excited about it. They understand that we have a challenge in front of us tomorrow night. Syracuse is as good of a ball club as I've seen on film, and I think it's one of Q's best teams he's had since that team that went to the Final Four. He's got great size, got great guard play, so we're going to have to play our best for sure.
And then, Jeff, a quick follow-up to that. You mentioned how good Syracuse is. Is this probably as balanced a team as you guys have played this season? I mean, they seem to have a lot of depth in the backcourt. And then they got some size inside, then they can really rebound.
When you say some size, I like the way you put that. So if they definitely had size, would that be 6'10"? Is some 6'7"? Is that what that is?
Yeah, a lot of size.
They have more size than anybody in the country at different spots. Now there are some teams that might have 4 6'5" centers. But you've got great size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for them. So it's going to be a challenge. You're looking at right now in league play, I think they've got 5 players in double figures. They had 3 players with double doubles in yesterday's game versus Carolina. Everybody's got to be dialed in. It's what makes their team good is what makes our team good. Is you can't just go out there and say, I'm not going to guard her. We're not going to guard this player. You've got to guard all of them. And that's when you put a lot of pressure on the defense, is when you just can't go and double off of one player and say, hey, she can't make enough shots to beat you. So it's going to be it's going to be fun.
Jeff, it's Jody Dilling with Cardinal Authority. You've mentioned several times about obviously it's a program thing. It's the history of that. And you've talked to the team. Do you worry because it's a young team that this will affect them in any adverse ways? And how do you guard against it?
No, I'm not concerned about that, Jody. And I'd be shocked, to be honest with you, if we came out and didn't play with the same intensity that we came out and played with on Sunday. The one thing I keep talking to our kids about is, at the end of the day, at the end of a game, if we lose a game, I want to be able to go into our locker room after the game and just simply say, guys, we missed shots. We defended well. We rebounded. We passed it. We just missed open shots. And if that's why you lose a ball game, well, then you just lose. If the ball's not going in, sometimes it's a struggle. But I don't want to lose a game because we didn't come out prepared. We didn't come out with intensity. We didn't rebound. We had mental lapses on defense. That's what I don't want. I want to be able to say, hey, we guarded Syracuse or NC State, Wake Forest. We guarded them well, guys, but they made tough shots. And if that happens, you're going to lose. I've seen a lot of great teams that have gotten beat because the ball just didn't go in the basket. And if that's the case, that's the case. But I do not want to lose, and I know these kids don't either, because we don't come prepared to play. There's really no excuse for that, and we're at a point right now with this group that I think they are mentally dialed in, knowing what's in front of us.
A follow-up as far as the ranking is concerned. One last thing. You haven't had trouble getting into the doors of the top recruits, as we can see, because you've gotten top recruits over the last 5-6 years, elite recruits. Does this help, though, in any other ways now that you're one of those 7 teams to make it any easier is not the right word, but maybe more doors that you can knock down in recruiting? Does it help recruiting at all?
Jody, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, there are many times that I can't figure recruiting out. It's not an exact science. I do one thing for one kid and they love it. They come. I do the same thing for the next and they hate it. You talk to players on the phone. What are your goals? I want to get to a Final Four, and then they come out with their top 4, and they've got 2 teams in there that have never been to the Sweet 16. And it's like, what do you mean you want to get to the Final Four? So there's a lot of this recruiting that you got to figure it out. Sure, does it hurt? Of course not. But has anyone picked up the phone and called me and said, I'm coming to Louisville now that you guys are ranked number 1? Unfortunately not. And we're recruiting some kids pretty darn hard. So you're just, as I've said in the past, the better you get, the better kids you have the opportunity to recruit, but you're just recruiting against different teams. 14 years ago, we weren't recruiting against the Notre Dames really, or the UConns or the Baylors. And now we're recruiting against them. We're recruiting the same kids. So the better you get, the better teams you start to recruit against.
Hey, Jeff, this is Gary Graves from AP. I guess because you all have been in that top 5, top 10 group for so long, and had a target on your back. I mean, do you really expect too much to change, with number 1, or does that just kind of give them a different type of resolve now?
No, I really don't expect much to change. I mean, we have gotten to where we've gotten because of hard work. I mean, we have some very talented players. There's no question about it. But, we know we have to come out every single day of practice, every night, prepared to play. We're not just going to step on the floor and just overwhelm you, and we're just way better. So I don't think anything's going to change. I'd be shocked if it did. Especially watching our practice yesterday, I was very impressed with the intensity that we practiced with and focus. Because right now at this time of the season, it's not always about how hard you practice, because we do got to give their bodies a break. It's more so the mental aspect. How dialed in are you to pay attention to a scout? We did a great job on Florida State's players, all except for Bianca Jackson, of taking away what they do well. And Jackson, of course, had 21 on us. So, when we don't come prepared, then all of a sudden you allow someone to play well. And that's what we've got to be ready to do tomorrow night, is make sure we know player tendencies and what they're looking to do as a team.
Yeah, as a follow-up, I mean, when you consider the stops and starts to your season, and yet you all had been number 2 for a number of weeks. I want to say it was probably about 6 weeks. I mean, what does that say for that staying power, that even when you all were shut down, even when other teams were shut down and you all couldn't play, that you all stayed in that place?
Well, again, I think it talks about our program. It talks about, we played so well against DePaul. That was a nationally televised game. And then we get 2 more games in, and then we're on pause. So I think it would have been difficult for people to sit there and say, well, we're going to drop them now. Now, if we had squeaked out a 1-point win or a 2-point win and didn't look very good, then all of a sudden you can probably justify, let's move teams around. And I think the voters, both the coaches and the AP, kind of set a precedent at the beginning of the year when some teams were on pause and they never moved them. It's kind of like, hey, when you're on pause, we're not going to hold it against you, which I think is the right thing to do. So, if we went on pause for the next 2 months, I guess we'd still be number 1. So that's a way to look at it.
So are you saying you want to go on pause to keep number 1 for 2 more months?
I'm opting out at 4:00 today. I'm going to check my contract to see if there's a bonus in it.
Jeff, obviously Kiana has been a big part of the year for you, and kind of the success you guys have had. What did you see from her in her redshirt year? Because redshirt years can be tough for people when they play well somewhere, they transfer and they sit. It can be kind of tough. What did you see from her, whether it was in day-to-day or on scout team and practices, that made you think she could do what she's doing now?
Well, the unique thing about it is she did not even want us to look into trying to get her a waiver to be eligible. When she decided to transfer here, we even talked about it. Hey, you want to use this year to try to get stronger, quicker, but your ball handling better and shooting. Just improve your all around game. And that's what she wanted to do. So when you come into it with that type of mindset, the year goes by fast because you're using every day to get better. And she was on our scout team every single day. She got more reps than some of our starters did, because she was every day either, being somebody else from some other team, or she'd work on her, be working on her own game. But she was able to use that and grow with it. And the improvement she made from day one until the end of the season was fantastic. So she embraced it. So instead of it being a negative thing, she used it as a positive.
Hey, Jeff, in terms of how Dana has blended with everybody, I guess with your balance, there have been a couple games in particular where she's gotten off to slow starts, but has been willing to let others kind of set the tone before she jumps in. I guess in terms of how that's developed, Is that something you expected to have that kind of balance, especially from like Haley and Olivia to contribute like that?
Yeah, and Dana has really embraced it too, because the one thing she's learning is, hey, when teams come out try to face guard me or do a triangle and two or anything like that, and everybody else then gets involved, we start making shots. Teams can't do that. They got to play you head up. And that's what's making us difficult to guard, in my opinion, right now, is we also have 4 players that average double figures. We've had 4 that I think have had 20 or more in at least one game this season. So our ability to get others involved, and Dana's ability to recognize that and say, hey, you know what? If I'm not making shots, I can get the ball to this person or that person. And then it enhances our team. So hats off to her for letting the game come to her when it's needed, because that just shows the maturity and growth in her game.
Jeff, hey, it's Jody again. You told us back whenever you guys first started a few months ago that when you got Haley, when you first saw her, everything that you kind of expected or saw in recruiting was there. Now that you're 12 games in, what have you seen from her, and what's maybe the next step for her in her improvement and her development?
Well, the kid just works her tail off. What impresses me the most right now about her is her ability to rebound the basketball. At 5'9", I think she's our second leading rebounder right now. And that's just will. That, she's not jumping over top of anybody. That's just persistence, will, determination. She has all that. She'll continue to, work on her 3-point shot or pull up. And then for her right now, she loves to study the game. That's what I'm so impressed with her by. Is she's in the offices, she's wanting to see, okay, when we play Syracuse, where the scoring area is going to be. Because now we're going against 6-7. So I don't recommend driving it straight into the basket each time. Can you recognize that now and shoot a pull-up when it's there? Those are the things that she's learning and really studying game in and game out.
Jeff, it's Eric Crawford at WDRB. How much does it help in some ways, just from a coaching standpoint, that the ranking on the heels of that number 1 ranking, which can be a distraction, you have a team that your players should have kind of an automatic respect for and played close games against them last season, and knowing just the quality they have?
Eric, there's no doubt about that. I mean, we know that if we're not prepared to play tomorrow night, this could be very short-lived. So we have the utmost respect for Syracuse and their players and what Quentin does and his staff. So there's an urgency. There's no question about it. And to be honest with you, it's the next week and a half, because we go to Wake on Sunday, and what Jen has done there with that program and how they've continued to get better, each year is impressive. And then all of a sudden it's Miami in here on Tuesday, Carolina on Thursday, and then big Monday on the 1st. We got a lot of basketball back to back to back, which in my opinion is a good thing, because it's hard to read the newspaper clippings when you're playing every other day. So you got to get focused on your task at hand. And I think our kids are in that mindset right now.
The one thing that nobody probably has experienced, it's been a big deal for a while. When you went on the road, you've had a good reputation. You've been number 1 in the ACC, but I think there's probably something extra when you go on the road as the number 1 team in the country. It's a big day, period, for the athletic departments there and whatever, for a shot to knock that off. Is that something you just have to experience to kind of be ready for?
Yeah, we have talked about that with them, understanding, like, guys, this is an opportunity for any program that we're going to play, and it's Syracuse first, to say, hey, we just knocked off the number 1 team in the country, and if we can come out and play well, Thursday and find a way to win, then it's Wake Forest. And that's just kind of the way it goes. And I think the unique thing about this year, which I think everybody is seeing, the parity in our women's basketball game is getting better and better year in and year out. I mean, for Colorado, who was 5-5 at the time, to beat Stanford, those things never happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Now you're seeing a Texas Tech team knock off a ranked Texas team. Like there's a lot more teams that are beating people in women's basketball because our parity is getting better and better.
Is this ranking the kind of thing where you hear from coaches around to congratulate you or anything like that? And the only other thing I had was that I know you praised Gino in Connecticut because, for being as good as they've been for as long as they've been means never taking a night off. Is that kind of the challenge in front of your players now too?
Well, yeah. First off, yes, I've been, I've gotten a lot of really nice texts and emails from a few friends and colleagues that I talk to the most. And at the same time, I've reached out. Like I reached out to Michelle Clark-Hurd at Cincinnati and Beth Ann Ord up there at Binghamton. And, coaches that have worked here to help us get to where we are. Because I'm not foolish to think that we'd be where we are if it wasn't for them also. And it's been great hearing from some of our past players that are excited about it because it takes everybody. And that's what we constantly talk about. And then it's going to be a great challenge for us because it is impressive to me. And I've talked to our kids, back with the UConn teams of the past where, you've got Breonna Stewart, the best player in the country, coming off the bench for him. And the way they played, it doesn't matter who you played. Their goal was to beat you by 50. And those are the things that we talk to our kids about. It doesn't matter who you're playing. It's the fact we're getting the opportunity to play. We need to play the same way and not worry about who we're playing. So those are the things that we've talked about. And I think our kids are excited. They're excited for the opportunity again tomorrow night. And it's on ESPN too. So it's another nationally televised game. I'll have to take a nap beforehand, though, to make sure I can stay up for that. 9 p.m. tip for me is a late night.
Hey, Jeff. Tim Sullivan from the Courier. Just was curious whether there's anything you can do to kind of market this success, this number one ranking, given the pandemic, and maybe what kind of things you might be doing if this were a normal circumstance.
Well, Tim, I don't know if we'd be marketing it any differently. Obviously our athletic department has done a wonderful job getting it out on social media and all that good stuff. And then of course, we're doing a great job with our attendance. With it being limited to 3,000, we're getting about 2,800, 2,900 each opportunity we have to play. And I think that's fantastic because you're always going to have some people that have purchased our season tickets that might not be able to make it to a game here or there. So, if you're looking at less than 3 or 4% that might not be showing up, I think that's pretty darn good. The only bad thing in a normal year per se, I think we'd have this place rocking tomorrow night, with 14 or 15,000. So you just got to make the best of it right now. And, again, I appreciate all of you all. Not everybody has a media in their town that really cares about women's sports. And we're very fortunate and blessed that you all do. And I appreciate y'all.
Well, gee, thanks.
You're welcome, Tim. Really appreciate you, Tim. Now the rest of them, not so much.
Before you offend anybody else, anybody have any other questions?
Well, guys, Tim did just send me an envelope with a $100 bill for my Christmas gift. I haven't seen a darn thing from you people.
I didn't even get a gift from Tim, and I work with him.
Well, see, Tim, hey, the thing about it is Tim knows, but the 100 was in Monopoly money. He was trying to help me beat my kid. See, and I appreciated that.
I was gonna say the Monopoly money would work for you.
Well, what I need now are some little Scrabble squares made with some more consonants. I've been getting stuck with all vowels, and it's been killing me in our junior Scrabble games.
Got to draw more Q's. More Z's and Q's.
I know and I'm telling you, if y'all haven't ever seen it, but the junior Scrabble game it's pretty. They're pretty amazing how they do it now. It's already got the words on the sheet. It's on the board, so you're just really placing it on the word. But for my 7 and 5-year-old, they love it. And now hopefully we'll get started to playing some real Scrabble, and I can really get them on a few words.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time.
I appreciate it.